Your own. Okay. This is a great group. So she is a beautiful. What is she?
Red tail.
Red-tailed hawk. Isn't she gorgeously stunning? Really? Don't do that in my face. So normally I would never, ever, ever have a red-tailed hawk that close to my face.
Really?
Really.
Do they ever nip your nose?
Her? No. She came into us. No, not yet. She might be ready to hawk up a cast, so that'll be interesting if you guys get to see that.
Like a pellet? Like an owl pellet or something?
It's similar to a pellet, it just is comprised of different parts. They can digest the bones and teeth and nails to where great horned owls and other owl species cannot. So mostly if she was to hawk up something, it would be primarily just fur. But she came into us in the summer of 2012. And she was just a few months old when she did come into us, and she got hit by a semi.
Aww. Pobrecita.
Her extensive injuries were so severe that day by day we actually didn't know if she was going to make it through the night. But she was a fighter, and she fought her way back. But she was in our intensive care unit. They can take pictures. You're okay. She was in our intensive care unit for about 3 months. Her injuries and her head trauma were so severe that we actually had to work with her in relearning how to eat. She couldn't even eat on her own, so we did have to help her with that, along with a lot of medications, oxygen therapy, giving her the quiet, and just leaving her alone as best as we could, because every time we were in her presence, it was stressing her out, which would put her into that fight or flight mode. The adrenaline would get going, and she could possibly decline. So it was a lot of caring for her to get her back to where she needed to be. Unfortunately, the injuries that she did sustain were permanent, as you can see. The head tilting and the looking around, that is the head trauma that she still has and will always have. That is the reason why she is an unreleasable bird. And she gets a little stressed sometimes in the company of people, so she dances. I know there was no music, right?
Does she fly?
Not very well. She can, but she doesn't do very long distances. She's in a flight cage over at our aviary with another red-tailed hawk right at the moment. And she can maneuver around, but she would never be able to fly well enough to protect herself and primarily to hunt. Yeah. So, stop yawning in my face. I don't like that. The most interesting thing about her is the instinct she has. So when we got her in, we knew exactly how old she was, because she still had a few pin feathers on her. So we knew that she had hatched that year. Even though she was a few months old, she was still quite young. So she had never had the chance to have a mate. She never had a chance to build a nest. She also never had a chance to lay eggs and have babies. But during that next year, we got some terrible winds that had torn down a lot of trees, blew down nests, and we were getting in those fuzzy white babies. Well, at that time, we have to really be careful with those fuzzy white babies, like Jean was saying, with that great horned owl that we just got in, because they are at that imprintable age. Anytime after they've hatched to anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks old, they are quite impressionable. That is when they look at their parents, see who's taking care of them, who's protecting them, who's feeding them. You can get it. Good girl. That they identify themselves as being. So if it's a mama red-tailed hawk or a daddy, perfect. If it's a human, not so good. And unfortunately, imprinting is permanent. Half of our educational ambassadors at the foundation are imprinted. Not by us, by somebody else. So when we started getting in all those white fuzzy babies, we were a little on the concern side. Now, when I say a little, I mean a lot. Because we did not want to, as our team, imprint on these birds. It's not fair to them. And Besides, the rules and regulations set forth by our licenses have become quite extreme over the years, and we would have to take drastic measures if we were to accidentally imprint on a bird. So we use a lot of our educational ambassadors. Now, back at the foundation, not only do we have educational ambassadors, but we have birds on our licenses that specifically have a purpose and to foster babies. But at the time, we did not have a red-tailed hawk. But we had her. We had Kaya. Now, with her state, with the head trauma she had, she's never had a brood of her own. She's never had babies. She's never built a nest, never had a mate, all of that. We thought the least she could do is at least be that presence for those young ones while they were growing up. So we brought her over to our intensive care unit into one of the larger cages that we have inside. And we slowly started introducing babies to her. One of them made a food cry. She jumped down from her perch, started tearing food and feeding those babies as if they were her own. Even with that severe head trauma that she has, even though she's never had babies of her own, that instinct and that drive kicked in that she knew what she had to do to take care of those babies. And she has been helping us raise babies ever since. And she does a very, very good job. Yep. She's probably helped us raise since she's been here at least, thank you. You did that on purpose. About 45 to 50 young ones.
Wow.
And she probably will be doing so again this year. So she does a very, very good job for us. Right now we are starting to get in red-tailed hawks. A lot of them into the foundation just because it is courting and mating season. Now, of course, at the foundation and in the state of Colorado itself, other states vary because of temperature differences. So within our state, the first babies that we do get are great horned owls. Great horned owls are lazy as the day is long. They do not build their own nests. They raid others, as well as cavities, as well as behind dental signs, as, pallets at Home Depot. Wherever they want to lay down and have their eggs and incubate them, that's what they're going to do. We got in, actually, the day of the blizzard. We got in our first great horned owl baby, and he was about 5 weeks old. So that was March 13th. So go back. 30 days before that was February 13th. Sure. That's when he'd hatched. Go back a month after that, and that's when the mama laid eggs, because it's about a 30-day incubation time. So this bird was on a nest in the middle of January. And all that cold and all that snow, all of that. They're built for it. And since they are lazy and they are nest raiders, they don't build their own. That's why they start nesting in our state early. And that's why we start getting babies in early, because they're the first ones to do it. And we've been known to get little fluff ball babies like we have right now in August. So there's not a rule of thumb that they're just going to have babies from January through, let's say April. That is not the case. There are some variations. But right after that is going to be red-tailed hawks. And we know that for one reason and one reason only. I know. Oh, good. Dance. I should remember never to leave my hair down when I'm handling you. We got in a red-tailed hawk that was found on somebody's property just recently. She could not fly. And we could not really find out the reason why she couldn't fly. She was dehydrated, she was underweight, but we could not find any real severe injury on her. And she is recuperating nicely. But she was a terror when she came to us. Most red tails are. They have their own personalities, especially this time of year when hormones are kicking into play. Lo and behold, the next day, she had laid an egg. But during the stress of transport and being on the ground, it was not a viable egg. But it just shows us that this is the time that red-tailed hawks are on nests. So be looking. You're going to see a lot of great horned owls, and you're going to see a lot of red-tails on nests. One of the reasons that red-tails lay this time of year is because they have a competitor coming back into town here.
The Swansons.
You got it. Guess what I saw yesterday?
Already?
Already.
Okay.
Out by me. I live out by DIA. And so much so I'm like, oh, my eyes are deceiving me. I turned around and went back. Lo and behold, Swainson's.
Oh, okay.
So they're a little bit early this year.
What is the bird?
Swainson's hawks.
Swenson's.
Yes. They're one of our biggest admittances, actually, at the Birds of Prey Foundation. And they're on their way back from South America. Argentina, more specifically. Yeah, long way. And they make that migration, babies in tow, each and every year. So the reason they're coming back to our state and North America up through Canada is for breeding purposes, because during our summer is South America's winter. So when you guys see a ton of hawks during the summertime, it's not so much these guys you're seeing. You're seeing the Swainson's hawks, because they can outnumber our local red-tails anywhere between 4 to 1 to 5 to 1.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's why you guys are seeing so many hawks within our state during the summer. You're not just seeing a ton of babies. You're seeing a migrator come back into town. Yeah. Have you just about had it? Yeah, sometimes. And you guys are great. She is just coming off of an illness that she had over the winter. So our educational ambassadors are rehab patients that were not able to be released for one reason or another. On occasion, they do get sick. We noticed that she just wasn't feeling good, that her urates were kind of green, the white that they usually have. Hers was kind of greenish, and that set an alarm off for us right away. So we were able to, as well with our patients, take her back to the ICU. We got to play around in some fecal matter, put it mildly, and saw she had a parasite. Easily treatable. Got her right back healthy. So we do take as good a care of our ambassadors and our foster parents just as much as we do our patients that do come in. So occasionally they do get sick. So this is her first time back. She had another one, but she's getting kind of stressed. All right, you. Can you turn around properly, please? So I am going to put her away. I know. Yeah, I know. We're going away. And we'll let Jean bring out a special one. Okay. Jean's going to answer your questions that you guys might have while I put her back.
Thank
You okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for being so nice and calm with her. Yeah, she's doing better, but she's kind of like, eh. I know.
They know what I have.
Kestrel.
Exactly. Second question, male or female?
Female.
A male.
Why?
More vivid colors.
Okay, so this is an American kestrel falcon. The only falcon we can tell the difference between male and female. It's called being dimorphic. We know as soon as these guys start getting their feathers in whether it's a male or female. This is a male. The male has slate blue wings and more blue on their head. So you can see his beautiful slate blue wings. The female is all reddish brown. So we can tell, and the markings are lighter on the female on the chest, so we can tell. We're working with a new glove, so he's a little bit like getting used to it. So we might be having a few challenges if he does that, so we'll see how he does. So he is actually, this is our third summer with him. He came into us a couple summers ago with a fracture in his, kind of in the elbow region. So he is flighted. However, he doesn't get full extension of that wing. So he can't fly fast enough to get away from predators or to hunt efficiently. So you guys know what these guys like to eat?
Mice.
Mice?
Correct.
Other birds?
I hate it when they feed him quail. When I'm there, won't give him quail because I gotta clean it up. Actually, he likes quail, and as I said, we do raise our own quail. We don't feed live up at ICU, and we give him mice as well. So he's pretty cute when he has a mouse. Right now it's springtime, and males and females are a little active in springtime, and he's very active and very, very noisy back at the ICU right now because he's looking for a female and trying to make a nest in his cage. So he is in a cage by himself. He can fly in there. He has branches in there, and he might be a little bit spoiled. For a treat when he behaves after working at a program, because he is working, he'll get a couple of mealworms, which is one of his. Yeah, I know, but he loves them. He loves them.
Grasshoppers?
No, we do not. Mealworms is about all he eats. Mealworms, quail, and mice. So, he, as I said, these guys, when they're hunting, you can see them over fields. They do something called hover flying.
Yes.
So they'll do this.
Like a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep, and then they'll go down and swoop and grab what they need. So,
I just noticed, Jean, I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but his American kestrels tend to have false eyes on their back. Back of his head. His are very prominent now because he's getting into breeding season.
because it's breeding season. Because
Yeah.
I don't look at them from the back.
So you guys see his false eyes on the back?
Yeah.
So the smaller of the birds sometimes can have false eyes. So it looks like if the predator's coming at him, that they're looking at him, that they can see him.
So he does also double as a foster parent for us if we need him to, when we start getting baby kestrels in. So he's kind of adorable. They're pretty fast and wild.
Little
So
sweetie
I call
pie.
him small, fast, and mighty. Even though he looks pretty calm, he'll bite me in a heartbeat. Questions about kestrels?
How old is this one?
He's he'll be 4 this summer.
Yeah.
4 this summer.
What's the lifespan?
About 8 to 10 years, which you can almost double that in the wild because he has no predators. So, he gets taken care of every day. He gets fed every day. He gets new water every day. His cage is cleaned every day. So, he's pretty much got a good life, although he doesn't have a mate and he's not in the wild. So we do the best we can. We can never meet their needs, but we do the best we can to give them the best life possible because they've been subjected to captivity, which is never a good thing for any animal. But since he is unreleasable, the director checked to see if he was going to be good on a glove, and he is. So he is an educational ambassador for us and works pretty hard. So we take good care of him when he gets back.
Is this the maximum size?
Yes. Yeah, he's full grown. And they're full grown within about 2 months.
Wow.
Yes.
How are you funded?
Private. By folks like you coming to our program, shopping at our thrift store, coming to our open house, donations as well. And yeah. So please bring your gently used items to our thrift store. We'll do a little bit of an advertisement here. And shop at our thrift store while you're here. Viewing the birds.
Nice advertising. So you would ask who would eat him?
Yeah.
Pretty much any raptor that's his size or bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if they can catch him.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, if you see him 100 feet away, like in a tree, it just looks like any ordinary bird. But when they take flight, it's like, ooh, that's a kestrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that nice huge wingspan, that falcon wing that starts off broad and then comes down to that nice tip. So their wings are built quite differently than like the hawks. The hawks are made for soaring. These guys, they're made for agility and speed.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I saw one on the way here.
I'm sure you saw a lot of them.
I saw one for sure looking over a cornfield.
And they're just getting ready. They're courting right now, as it is. So right after red-tailed hawks have their babies, then these guys start getting busy.
Are they here all year?
They are, yes. They do not migrate, so you guys get to see these guys all year long, and they'll stay pretty much within their breeding, hunting territory, but they can bounce around a little bit, so it's not like they have a half-mile radius that they're just going to stay in. They can move around a little bit, yeah.
So if you guys stay nice and still, I'm going to bring him a little bit closer, but since he's a little nervous on this glove, I'm not going to go too far. but he gets his footing on the glass. Can you see him? Isn't he adorable?
He is stunning. And the more that spring goes on, the brighter he is going to get. We've been known to get in American kestrels that their cere is yellow right up above his beak, and their legs have been a burnt orange color.
Okay.
They just get really flamboyant
Beautiful.
with their colors during mating and breeding
I'd like you
season.
to show them
He
your
may not
wings
want to be too comfortable walking around on that glove thing.
Come on.
No, not.
Yeah.
Stretch your wings.
Yeah, he's.
A good boy.
Oh,
And he is going to start molting here pretty quick, so it'll be interesting to see how bright he is this year. Yeah, but they're fabulous little birds. Ready? Did you want to switch up?
it's up to you.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Did you guys have any more questions on American kestrels?
You talked a couple years ago about kestrel nests you can
Yes.
put on your house.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kestrel boxes are great. These guys are having a kind of a hard time, especially within our state. We've actually seen the numbers of American kestrels that come into the foundation decrease over the years, where they used to be our number one admit over the years. Because when these guys, when they fledge out of their nesting area, the young ones they get on the ground, they just don't know what to do. Even if they are completely healthy, you can walk right up to them, right? If you can walk right up to a bird and it's on the ground, it's not flying or running away, there must be something wrong, right? No, that's just with that species. They just stand there like, hey, what's up? So that's one of the reasons we do get in a lot of kestrels into the foundation, is because they are so easily approachable. The young ones are, not so much the adults. But we have noticed that in past years, the number of American kestrels coming into the Birds of Prey Foundation have decreased. And we do think, it's not for certain, but we do think it's because of loss of habitat. So if you guys are so inclined to help these guys out, putting up a kestrel on a barn or your house or anywhere that you can think of on your property is always beneficial. One, you're helping out this particular species. Two, if you have these guys in your yard, you do not have a rodent problem. Because they become very opportunistic, basically, meaning they're going to take anything and everything that they can get their little feet on, especially when they have babies. So these guys grow up 2 months, right? They start from that big to that big in 2 months, and if they have a brood of 6, they're eating a lot.
What does the nest look like?
So usually it's a nesting. The boxes that we put up are just like it is. It's a wooden box, and it has just a hole on the front of it. And they will go in and lay their eggs in there. These are cavity nesters, so they don't build nests. But they have been known to take over other nesting sites, as well as cavities in trees. Sometimes they'll get under overhangs if you have a hole in your house, in your roof or something like that. Yeah, they'll go right on in. That's where they like to nest the most. But when they are around and they are having to feed hungry babies, they take songbirds. They will even eat bugs. They eat a lot of bugs. So the smaller of the raptor species, the more often they're going to be eating bugs as well. So the larger ones like eagles and red-tailed hawks, not so much. But the smaller of the species, yeah, the more they're going to eat some bugs. But they like mice, they'll eat voles. They're a little bit of carrion eaters too. Primarily not too often, but they will eat carrion as well. Snakes, little small snakes, frogs, amphibians, lizards, you name it. They become very opportunistic.
So if you put those boxes up
Yes,
to other birds,
yes.
so how do you deal with that?
Ma'am. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes, it's quite all right. Did you want to go?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, one of the biggest contributors to nesting box invasion. I know. Are you going to show off for everybody?
Exactly.
So, what do I have?
Turkey vulture.
Yes. So at the Birds of Prey Foundation, we don't only specialize in birds of prey, but we are licensed for all species. But our facility is built around primarily the raptor species. So if you guys come to our open house in May, you'll be able to see all of the different types of cages that these birds can be in. And they're designed specifically for the species that it does house. So like we have the biggest eagle flight cage in the state. It's 108 feet long. Because you get a bird with an 8-9 foot wingspan, they launch off of the top perch. They're halfway down that cage before they even have one wing beat. So it needs to definitely be long. Our hawk cage is designed specifically for the big soaring hawks, so they have an angle in it, so they have to cut corners when they are exercising. And our falcon cage is designed specifically more so for the bigger of the falcons we have in our state, which are prairie and peregrine falcons. It's a great big huge cage that has a partition right down the middle, but on the end of that partition on each side is a great big huge opening, because falcons will need to go round and round and round for their exercising. So if you guys come to our open house, you get to see each one of these different cages.
Do you get many falcons?
Depends on the season and depends on what's going on. American kestrels are our #1 admit, with peregrine, prairie, and merlin coming in a second. So we don't get too many, but we do during the summer get quite a, I wouldn't even say, maybe a handful of peregrines, a handful of prairie falcons, and maybe 5 to 10 merlins.
So not that many.
Not that many. Yeah, American kestrels, just because they are so adaptable and they are within the city areas, that is the highest number of falcons that we do get is in the American kestrels. So with peregrines, they like the cliff areas, prairie falcons, you know, name kind of fits them. And merlins are usually found out on the plains areas, but they are adaptable too. They're found in a lot of different areas. But are you adjusting? Okay. He's trembling. He's so excited to see you come in. So as I was saying, we are licensed for all species, but we primarily take in the bigger ones, even though this is not a bird of prey. Turkey vultures are carrion eaters. And we can get in a lot of turkey vultures into the foundation. One, because of their size. They're really big, right? We can handle them. And two, we can take them in because we have a lot of the necessary treatments on hand that turkey vultures need. Now, Jean was mentioning something earlier during her introduction of one of the things these guys can suffer from. Anybody remember what that was? Yes, lead poisoning. Inevitably, every turkey vulture that comes into us has lead poisoning to a certain degree. There was only 1 year that I can remember during that entire year that we actually got in a turkey vulture that was not lead poisoned. And it was a year that we got in a lot of turkey vultures. I know, you're very excited to see these people.
What is their source of lead?
So a good portion of the time when they do get lead poisoning is from ingestion. Lead shot is not outlawed within our state as well as a lot of other states. So being carrion eaters, if a hunter is using lead shot, and may possibly field dress an animal out in the wild and leave some gut piles behind or stuff that he doesn't want, well, that's like super yummy to these guys. And it just takes one of those little tiny itty bitty pellets to poison this bird. It takes one of those tiny little itty bitty pellets to kill a 10-pound eagle. Now, eagles are kind of lazy. They would rather eat carrion than catch their own thing. They'll do both. But if there's something available to them, they will eat it as well. So goldens and balds, whenever they come into the foundation, they are tested as well. Yes?
So, does the lead attack their nervous system or
Yes.
humans?
Yes, it can do a multitude of things. So you remember the big paint scare quite a while ago with baby toys and stuff? And we were seeing the effects of how it was treating young children and babies, that lead poisoning through the paint and through the materials that they were putting on toys. It would affect their respiratory system, their circulatory system. It would affect them neurologically. It would affect them with their muscle movements. They could go into convulsions, spasms. A multitude of different things can happen with these birds. The one thing it does make them is it can affect their brain activity. And if it affects their brain activity, they can't fly. They can't fly. They can't smell to eat. They can't smell to eat. Yep, you do the math. So it's pretty sad to watch one of these guys go through lead poisoning. It's actually quite tragic. But at the Birds of Prey Foundation, we're very, very fortunate that we can treat it, and treat it quite easily, because of wonderful people like you that shop at the Birds of Prey thrift store that support the foundation. In just the years past, we have gotten a lead analyzer at our facility. So what could have possibly taken a week to find out results on blood that we had to send out to get analyzed, we now know within 3 minutes. And how severe it is. And if it is quite severe, if the animal is stable enough, we can actually take an x-ray. Why would we take an x-ray if they have lead poisoning?
See if it's in the
See if
digestive
there's lead
tract.
shot in them, correct. Because if we use the improper treatment, it could actually exacerbate the lead levels. So we can take an x-ray of their abdomen, and the lead shot, if they have ingested it, just glows on the film, and we can see it. If so, we can treat with one particular medication that will not immediately break down that lead even further. If it is just within their bloodstream, if they've eaten it, it broke down, but they have passed it out, but it's still within their bone marrow and within their bloodstream itself, we can hit them double dose with 2 different kind of medications. Now, the medications that we use are lead binders. Basically, it's like a magnet that we give them, tracks to the lead, and they excrete it out. But being a binder, it also attracts everything else. So every micronutrient, every macronutrient that is in their system, they are excreting out as well. So we have to supplement. They get lots of fresh food when they are with us. We found that in years past, by raising our own mice, our own rats, our own quail, fresh is better. It's just like you guys. Would you rather have frozen hamburger or fresh?
Fresh.
Yeah. It not only tastes better, but it's better for you. Because if you give them something that has been defrosted because it's been frozen, a good portion of those nutrients have been depleted. Now, if they're in good health, yeah, they can have it. But if they're in very critical health, we give them fresh food. It helps them out a ton because it's helping to replace a lot of those nutrients that they did lose. And we also can give them different kind of medications if necessary. And when these guys come into us and they are so severely poisoned, a good portion of the time, they are in emaciation to starved mode as well, which means they are also in a severe state of dehydration. We can help that out easily. We can give them fluid subcutaneously. We can give them small minor meals. That's easy on their system. We have different medications that we can give to them, all kinds of different antibiotics, pain and anti-inflammatory medications.